Have you ever looked at the sunrise and felt a sense of wonder, a feeling of a brand new beginning? Well, you're not alone. Thousands of years ago, the ancient Egyptians felt the same way, and they had a special god to represent that exact moment, Khepri, the glorious scarab god. Today, we're diving deep into the sands of time to uncover the story of this fascinating deity, a symbol of creation, renewal, and the eternal cycle of life. Now, when you think of Egyptian gods, names like Ra, Osiris, or Isis probably come to mind. You might picture majestic figures with the heads of falcons or jackals, but a scarab beetle, it might seem like a humble creature to associate with something as grand as the rising sun. But for the ancient Egyptians, the scarab was a powerhouse of symbolism, and Khepri, whose name literally means he who comes into being, was the embodiment of that power. Let's start with the basics. Khepri wasn't just any old god. He was a specific aspect of the great sun god Ra. Think of it like this. Ra was the sun in its full glory, shining brightly at midday, but the sun has different phases, right? The rising sun, the morning sun, was Khepri. Hea represented the sun's journey as it emerged from the darkness of the underworld each dawn, reborn and full of promise. This makes him a god of creation and new beginnings. Every single sunrise was a reenactment of the world's first creation. Imagine waking up every day and believing you were witnessing the birth of the universe all over again. That's the power and optimism that Khepri represented. So why a scarab beetle? This is where the brilliant observational skills of the ancient Egyptians come into play. They watched the dung beetle, the Scarabaeus sarcer, and were fascinated by its behavior. These beetles roll balls of dung along the ground. They use these balls as a source of food and as a place to lay their eggs. The female beetle would deposit her eggs inside the dung ball and then bury it in the sand. After a period of incubation, the young beetles would emerge from the ball, seemingly created from nothing, from the earth itself. The Egyptians saw a profound parallel in this process. They saw the scarab beetle pushing its ball of dung and equated it to Khepri pushing the solar disk, the sun, across the sky. It was a perfect metaphor for self-creation and spontaneous generation. It was a powerful symbol of resurrection and the eternal continuation of life. This is why Khepri is almost always depicted in a very specific way. This image was everywhere in ancient Egypt, on tomb walls, on papyri, and most famously on amulets. Let's talk about those amulets. Scarab amulets were incredibly popular and served as powerful protective charms. People wore them in life for protection and good fortune. They were believed to bestow the wearer with the powers of renewal and creation that Khepri represented. But they had an even more important role in death. The heart scarab was a large amulet placed over the heart of the deceased during the mummification process. The ancient Egyptians believed that after death, their heart would be weighed against the feather of Mat, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was heavy with sin, the person would be denied entry into the afterlife. The heart scarab was inscribed with a spell from the Book of the Dead, which was essentially a plea from the deceased to their own heart, asking it not to testify against them during this judgment. The scarab, as a symbol of rebirth, was meant to help ensure the deceased's successful transition into the afterlife, to be reborn just like the sun every morning. It was a magical guarantee for a second chance, a new life beyond the mortal coil. So, this little beetle carried the weight of an entire person's eternal destiny. He was revered everywhere because his presence was felt every single morning by every single person. His temple was the eastern horizon at dawn. He was a universal God, a constant and reliable presence in the lives of the Egyptians. The symbolism of Khepri extended beyond just the sun and rebirth. The scarab beetle's hieroglyph, the shape of the beetle itself, was used to write the verb khepr, which means to come into being, to become, or to transform. So, whenever you saw this little beetle symbol in ancient Egyptian writing, it was conveying a concept of change, creation, and existence. It's a beautiful example of how nature, mythology, and language were all interwoven in this incredible culture. So, the next time you see a scarab beetle, whether in a museum or in a nature documentary, remember its glorious past. Remember Khepri, the god who pushed the sun into the sky, who embodied the hope of a new day, and who promised eternal life. He teaches us that even in the most humble of creatures, we can find metaphors for the grandest cosmic events. He reminds us that every sunrise is a chance for renewal, a fresh start, a new creation. The story of Khepri is a testament to the ancient Egyptian genius for finding the divine in the everyday, for seeing the universe in a grain of sand or, in this case, in a ball of dung rolled by a determined little beetle. Thanks for joining me on this journey back to ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed learning about Khepri, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the world of mythology. Until next time, may your mornings be as bright and full of promise as the rising sun of Khepri.